After you hear from these distinguished people, having spoken about the events in the Eurozone, we will hear from our distinguished panel on where we are today. Once again, take a listen.
The police have just come outside of Parliament and formed a police line.
I have no doubt whatsoever about the strength of the euro, about its permanence, about its irreversibility.
We need to take decisive action to help stabilize the Eurozone.
Greece's future is within the Eurozone.
$146 billion for a nation which is only 2.5% of the Eurozone GDP. And they think that if Greece goes, other bigger nations could go.
If there were a failure to resolve that situation, it would pose threats to the European financial system, to the global financial system.
The authorities will do whatever it takes to hold the system together. The alternative is just too terrible to contemplate.
The biggest headwind the American economy is facing right now is uncertainty about Europe.
I have decided on my own council to step down as the leader of Fianna Fáil.
Breaking news, the Portuguese Prime Minister Socrates has resigned.
Finally expecting to get the announcement on the new Greek government.
At the moment from the Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi that he'll step down.
We just heard that the ruling Spanish party has just lost the election.
It's often discussed that leaving the euro is an option for Greece. I think this is really not an option.
What I think is needed is to extract more in terms of overall productivity and competitiveness of Europe by finally creating a deeply single market.
We must all draw the lessons from the ongoing crisis and help to solve it. And this goes for the financial sector as well.
The ECB is the only really functioning European institution, whether they like it or not.
Gaining credibility is a long and laborious process. Maintaining is a permanent challenge. But losing credibility can happen very, very quickly.
And joining me right now on stage to discuss the developments and where we are right now, all the way to my left, Wolfgang Schäuble, German Finance Minister, Minister Francois Baron, French Finance Minister, Luis de Guindos, Spanish Economy Minister, and Olli Rehn, European Monetary Affairs Commissioner. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for speaking to us today. We just heard Mario Draghi say that confidence is the most critical part here. Minister Baron, has the most recent facility by the ECB instilled stability and confidence in terms of where we are right now?
Well, hello to everybody. Mario Draghi a pris une décision avec le Conseil des gouverneurs qui a été une décision très importante au cours de l'accord du 9 décembre. Comme vous le savez, il y a eu un débat entre la France et l'Allemagne au sein de la zone euro sur le statut de la Banque centrale européenne et sur sa qualification de prêteur en dernier ressort. Nous sommes un certain nombre, dans le monde en général, à l'intérieur de l'Union européenne, à considérer que ce débat pouvait exister. Ce débat n'existe plus. Il y a une jurisprudence désormais en Europe, la jurisprudence de Strasbourg, Monti, Merkel, Sarkozy, qui ont décidé de ne plus mettre la Banque centrale au cœur du débat politique. Elle est indépendante, elle définit sa politique. Nous ne l'encourageons pas, mais nous avons le droit de souligner si telle ou telle décision va dans la bonne direction. Il est incontestable que la profondeur de champ octroyée sur 3 ans à 1% de liquidité illimitée pour les banques a réduit la pression très forte qui est exercée sur les banques européennes depuis le mois d'août. Et il est incontestable que c'est ce qui permet de restaurer progressivement la confiance. Mais ça ne suffit pas. Il faudra d'autres tranches et il faudra confirmer l'accord du 9 décembre par une politique coordonnée sur les 2 piliers de l'accord entre les chefs d'État et de gouvernement du 9 décembre, un pilier discipline budgétaire, sanctions, une accélération de la ratification du traité et naturellement un élément de solidarité et une réflexion partagée autour de ce que nous pouvons faire pour soutenir la croissance.
Minister Schäuble, how do you see it?
Deutschland und Frankreich sehen es meistens sehr ähnlich. Die Krise hat ihre Ursachen in mangelnder finanzpolitischer Disziplin in einer Reihe von Mitgliedsländern der Eurozone und in mangelnder Wettbewerbsfähigkeit einiger Länder. Wenn wir die Krise überwinden wollen, wenn wir verloren gegangenes Vertrauen, wie Mario Draghi in dem Tape gesagt hat, zurückgewinnen wollen, müssen wir erstens die Ursachen bekämpfen. Das muss in den betroffenen Ländern geschehen. Das geschieht, und wo es geschieht, zeigen sich auch die Entwicklungen an den Märkten, wie wir in Italien sehen, in Spanien, dass Vertrauen wieder schrittweise zurückgewonnen wird. Zweitens müssen wir eine bessere Struktur für die europäische Währung schaffen. Das machen wir mit dem Fiscal Compact und mit dem europäischen Stabilisierungsmechanismus. Dessen Vertrag haben wir bei den Finanzministern in dieser Woche fertig zu Ende verhandelt. Wenn die Staats- und Regierungschefs am Montag das endossieren, dann können wir den im Februar unterzeichnen und wir werden auch früher ihn in Kraft setzen und früher und hoffentlich schneller Kapital einzahlen. Und der Fiscal Compact schafft das, was wir bisher unzureichend haben, nämlich Institutionen und Regeln, die uns in die Lage versetzen, die Verabredungen einer gemeinsamen Finanzpolitik in Europa auch durchzusetzen. Und da müssen wir die Wettbewerbsfähigkeit in Europa stärken. Das ist die Aufgabe auch des Vorhaben des Europäischen Rats am kommenden Montag durch strukturelle Reformen. Da das alles nicht schnell wirkt, brauchen wir auch für die Zeit dazwischen Solidarität. Das ist der Finanzierungsmechanismus, das muss gemanagt werden. Da macht die EZB in ihrer geldpolitischen Verantwortung, in ihrer Unabhängigkeit das Notwendige. Aber bei all den Maßnahmen muss man aufpassen, dass man nicht Fehlanreize gibt. Alle diese Maßnahmen können nicht ersetzen, dass das geschieht, was zuerst und an zweiter Stelle zu geschehen hat. In der richtigen Reihenfolge gehört alles zusammen und so sind wir auf dem Weg. Und da werden wir in allen Punkten das Notwendige tun. Und deswegen wird der Euro und die Europäische Währungsgemeinschaft eine stabile Währung bleiben. Und dann werden wir uns wieder stärker den Verschuldungsproblemen in anderen Teilen der Welt zuwenden, die größer sind als in der Eurozone.
We will get back to the comment you made. We must prevent things from happening, because I think that we all would like to know specifically more on that comment. But Minister Guindos, from your standpoint, how do you achieve what Minister Schäuble is saying in terms of solidarity, and unity?
Well, I am in broad agreement with what Francois Wolfgang have said about, liquidity. Liquidity is not the final cure to the problems that we have right now in the Eurozone. It's a helping hand, but not a final cure. But I think that I fully agree also that what we have to do is to, first of all, to put our houses in order, to advance in fiscal consolidation, to avoid and to circumvent the problems that we made in the past in terms of, public deficit and excessive level of debt. And simultaneously, and I think that this is going to be in the agenda over the next months and weeks, to try to take the measures to foster growth. And I think that, we are going to speak more and more about growth and employment. And I think that, that will be, the agenda of the next weeks. We are very close to have a new institutional framework that I think that will be extremely useful to avoid the mistakes and the flaws that we had in the past. And simultaneously, I think that we have to bring to the fore the agenda of growth, of reforms, of employment.
Isn't this the crux, though, of the problem in terms of moving forward? Olli Rehn, how do you achieve growth in a moment of time when you actually are implementing austerity?
That is indeed the key question for Europe at this juncture. And in order to create foundations for sustainable growth and job creation, we first have to resolve the sovereign debt crisis and mitigate the banking sector fragilities. Why so? Because this is essentially a crisis of confidence, and in order to resolve this crisis of confidence, we have to do things like the European Central Bank has been doing. I find the ECB actions very important in terms of avoiding a credit crunch in the European economy, and also facilitating some more favorable bond auctions of, say, Italy, Spain, and also the return of Ireland to the bond market in the last couple of days. So the ECB actions are important, but of course not enough alone, and therefore we need to have a focus on basically three things. We need a new fiscal compact, and we are in fact revamping the institutional architecture of Europe so that we are soon going to have an economic and monetary union Mark II. It is going to be a very different structure than the previous one, and in the new structure, prevention is the name of the game, and we want to prevent the kind of fiscal crisis or external imbalances that have happened in the past years with terrible costs, economic and human costs. Second, we need stronger European financial firewalls, and we are working this out in these weeks, and I expect that we can come to a positive conclusion, where we also need support from our American and British friends in a sense that we need to increase the resources of the International Monetary Fund. And third, yes, we need a focus on reforms and growth, employment, as Luis and his colleagues were saying. And in this regard, I would draw your attention to the fact that we have in fact a wave of reforms going on in Europe. Italy is moving fast in its structural reforms. Spain is moving, and in fact all the European Union member states are doing their part, both in fiscal consolidation and in terms of structural reforms. So we have a somewhat better sentiment for the moment. Now it is not the time for the Cassandras. It is the time to further build confidence, and that's why the coming days are so important, because we are going to finalize some important decisions that will facilitate better confidence into the European economy, so that we can release and liberate the Keynesian animal spirits for growth, investment and employment. And who does not believe in the animal spirits does not believe in the market economy.
Olli, you said some very important themes there, and I would like all of your commentary on this. Let me first take on the firewalls. How much bigger and deeper firewalls would you like to see? What are we talking about? What's your expectation?
Well, we have already decided that the new permanent European stability mechanism will have a capital base of 700 billion euros, which will provide an effective lending capacity of 500 billion euros. Now we have in operation a temporary European financial stability facility, which has consumed some around 100 something, and with the new Greek program we'll have something above 200 billion euros probably, which leaves around 250 billion euros in this temporary EFSF. The question will be whether we can combine these to the ESM and the EFSF. That's something that the ministers and the leaders of the Eurozone we'll have to discuss and decide in the coming weeks. In parallel with the IMF, where Christine Lagarde has made a